like
Voila.
take the season. Yeah, like take the season finale. I was like, okay, and this time you get to do anything you want with the script as well.
Oh.
I was like, really? Like, yeah.
And welcome to the Sit Down, where we have conversations with creators from across this beautiful motherland of ours. My name is Makomboy, a filmmaker and an all-round story lover. And today, we're sitting down with Likarion, who is a multi-award-winning Kenyan director. His most recent film, Supa Modo, had its world premiere at the Berlinale. His most recent TV series is the hot series in Kenya right now, Crime and Justice, that just wrapped its first season. And he's here today. So settle in, it's gonna be quite a ride.
Manzi nahitaji power zako. John is special. She's a little superhero.
She's a little girl.
Naona tumfanye kitu.
First of all, thank you so much for joining us on the Sit Down and just, blessing us with your experience, your film school of life.
No worries. It's a pleasure, man.
I guess I want to start off by asking, when people talk about directing, they say there are two things you should never do unless you're willing to take a big risk. Work with a child or work with a pet. Rule number one of directing. If you want to survive, do not work with a child and do not work with a pet. How is that like for you? What was your experience like having a child as a lead? And
I'll be honest, it was tough. Because not only are we working with a child, we're working with a child who's never acted before. It was our first time performing. And it was really difficult, I won't lie. And I really needed a lot of help. Because normally, prior to that, when you're working with adults, it's quick conversations. I'm from the school of directing where the shorter the direction in between takes, for me, the better it is for the actor. You always come, give me this, the character, I feel this, I feel that. But with a child, you can't just talk in action words. You can't just talk in verbs and expect them to. You have to find your own language. And we found our own language. And it was as simple as sitting them down and talking to them like an adult. We always assume these kids. And I'm ashamed because I was talking to Stacy, who was a lead. I was talking to her like a child. A lot of people say, acting with kids is difficult. Yeah, it's just that you don't understand their language. Of course, we had issues in between because she is a child, but it was somehow easier to work with her. And at the end of the shoot, it was like, yeah, it's done. It's been 23 days, and the performances, we got everything we needed. And somehow it worked out. And so for me, it wasn't that difficult working with her, but I still avoid doing that again. I've never worked with kids in a central role after that because I found it took me to places that I was not comfortable with. It was out of my zone that I need to be mentally prepared before I go into that zone again. Like I said, directing is all about expressing yourself. You channel a lot, and working with her when at her age, I channeled a lot of myself just to talk to her, and I felt so much drained by the end of it because it's like it's out of my element. It's easier to channel my adult side now, because I'm an adult. Looking back into your past and trying to find the way to talk to this child. Somehow I was exhausted by the end of it. Not because of anything she did, but because of my own approach.
And what's the balance there when it comes to directing and almost being the vision carrier? Are there any particular skill set along the way that you've learned as these are my go-to ways on working? Because you don't always, if you're blessed, you'll work with the same people consistently.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always come around.
Yeah.
So how do you have a short schedule, you have a lot of pressure. What are
Mm.
your go-to ways as a director to sort of being able to marshal people?
Yeah, I get you. For me, the first thing I always do is I always do a mood board / treatment / vision board. I think that's very important. I remember for Supa Modo, we were so many people, and it was difficult to talk to each and every person about the vision I had. So for Supa Modo, I made a mini movie, and I took images and videos from the internet that connected with me, and I mapped out the entire story from beginning till end with music and the images. So like these are images that represent the moment she finds out her daughter is going to die. These are images of and I mapped that out. And the moment I showed it to the crew, everyone got it. Everyone, even the mentors, the producers, the funders, everyone got it, and that became my number one tool. Like before every shoot, there's always time to just map out even random images and just send them to people. Like, oh, this is what I'm seeing. This is the texture I'm feeling, because sometimes you can't blame the crew, because you're the vision bearer. You're the one who sees things a certain way, and if you don't know how to communicate that, directing is all about. Directing 70% communication.
A lot of talking.
Exactly.
Exhausting amount of talking.
Exactly. So if you don't know how to communicate, then you're screwed, man.
Yeah.
And the number one thing is, the moment I get a project, is how do I communicate what I see to the crew? And depending on the time I have, I do a mood board, do a vision board, do a treatment. And in that, I will talk about every single department and how I'm seeing it. Even makeup, just say, I always see natural tones. I don't see lipstick. Because
natural
then
tones, man. Don't even mention it.
Exactly.
Too much fashion show makeup being pushed.
My number one notes for makeup is taki watu wanaenda harusi kila siku.
Exactly. Oh my god.
Like, with the blush and then
gosh, yeah, it's just
and we have a lot of that. But if you don't know how to communicate to them, and sometimes my vision board isn't accurate, but it's enough to jumpstart a conversation. Like, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that, I'm seeing that. And then the department will come to you and say, I heard you say you're seeing a lot of red because of this. I have another option. Why not maroon or this shade of red? And then that becomes the starting point for every single project I do. And that's my goal.
Nobody, no matter how rich or how powerful you are, no one is above the law. These events have caused undue excitement.
Was his death an accident too?
We are women in the land of men.
Great stuff. Very noir looking, beautiful, colorful images, man.
Man.
I don't know, because I don't know enough about the behind the scenes of it. How involved were you in the pilot episode? Because I always believe for TV, that pilot episode sort of sets the look and the feel of the whole series. What level of involvement is there?
I wasn't involved at all. Like I said, Crime and Justice was already filming and I was jealous. So they had already done 3 episodes by the time I was being called in. Actually, they had done 3.5 episodes. And the idea for Adam, who was the creator of the show and the director, his idea was he wanted to come and create a show that was Kenyan and let Kenyans express themselves after that. And so I did not know that when I was ranting and bitching the background. So so I got the call after 3.5 episodes, and they were like, would you be willing to come on board and direct a couple of episodes? Actually, it was just 1 episode, and let's see. Like, cool. So you'll finish up. I was supposed to finish up episode 4. That's a few scenes here and there, and then pick up episode 5, called Battered. And so, as usual, I come from the school of of the restrictions of TV. So I was like, so what are the rules here? I need to know what box I am in.
Yeah.
And Adam was like, dude, just do whatever you want. Like tears, like just machozi to the I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, it's a Kenyan show, express the Kenyan in you. Just do whatever you want. And I was scared. I won't lie. Like even when I got on set, I was still playing it safe. And I remember the crew members, but Martin is our script supervisor. He's like, dude, we know what you can do. Why are you holding back? I'm like, I don't believe this guy is saying I can do anything I want.
Yeah.
And I finished that episode 4, and when I was prepping for my next episode, they were like, do anything you want. What do you want? Express yourself to the fullest. Location-wise, set-wise, everything. And so I did it, and like, yeah. So you know that whole feeling of you do a scene, and you're waiting for, so no one's saying
for someone to be like, that one
exactly.
There. Wait.
Exactly. You're like, you can't do that here. And so they gave me the freedom creatively to express myself shot-wise, cinematography-wise, casting-wise. I had a say in casting, and that is very rare for Kenyan TV. And for me, I call Crime and Justice a film. It's not a show.
Yeah,
because
every feeling, man. Yeah.
Exactly. Every episode, whoever directs it, they've expressed themselves as a filmmaker, not as a director for hire.
Yeah.
And it was such an honor, and I did Battered. Battered was good, and they were like, now you have to take it to the next level. I'm like, cool. Here's the season finale. I'm like,
voila.
Take the season. Yeah, I was like, take the season finale. I was like, okay, and this time you get to do anything you want with the script as well. I was like, really? Like, yeah. Just break it down however you want, make the adjustments you want. Just do whatever you do as a filmmaker with this episode. And so episode 8, which came out just a few days ago, was just everything I had been feeling about the show. I expressed it all with tweaks and adjustments and being part of the casting process and location choices. And so episode 8 for me was the full experimentation that I could do with this show. And just poured it out because I was like, it's the season finale. It's the end. Let me just go out with a bang. And that's been my experience with Crime and Justice. There's never been a TV project I've ever worked on like Crime and Justice. I'm so impressed. Yeah.
And makes me wonder, how is it like, coming in, despite the amount of freedom to push the boundaries, how is it like coming into a project where there are other co-directors and the creator is someone else? How do you merge your vision and your style and your voice in an experience that you still have to consider what was there and who else is inside of it?
Of course, you just, number one, study the show. The same way I break down other movies is the same way I break down Crime and Justice. The episodes that I'm not in, the ones I did not direct. So the first 4 episodes for me was my homework. And not only that, I'm glad that I had access to the creator of the show, who's also the producer of the show. So it was an easy conversation to just go, so this is what I saw. What was the intention? And I also got access to the writers, Brian Monene, just asking him, because for me, it's not about, when expressing ourselves, it's not about the visuals. Because there are a lot of, of course there were that, you have to keep the style. But for me, style was aside. For me, it was characters. Because if I can understand these characters and whoever's on board and their journey, I can be able to tailor-make blocking and cinematography to favor their characters. So I just delved deep into understanding the characters. And the moment I understood the characters, I understood the style of the show. Because those two are not different. You can't define McKenna, who's the lead, this way and film her this way. So I found myself, even on set, choosing shots that somehow ended up being the same style as the show. Because this is the only way to capture McKenna. This is the only way with her, with Kebo, the boss. This is the only way to capture him. This is the best way in the space that I'm given. and somehow the style just came together. But also the places that I felt I experimented more, and this is the leeway with each director, is a B story. The other side stories are the ones where you pick a theme and you go with it. For me, like for episode 5, Battered, for me the theme was emotional violence. That was it. Emotional and physical violence. That was a theme. So with those ones you get to experiment more. That's why I went film noir. Went on experimentation with just holding on camera on actors and seeing their eyes more and just holding that. That was a style for Battered. Because that's what B story needed. For like episode 8, which is more of fast-paced mystery thriller, then for me it was transitions was a theme. Moving from this one character to the other. And you'll see that mapped out in the entire episode. So the balance between what was there and what is going to be show comes naturally once you understand the depth of the show. And with the other directors, and luckily we're each given one episode to do, and they're never short. Like you finish an episode, then the other one starts. They're not short at the same time.
Yeah.
And we've all 3 directors, we've understood what this show needs, and somehow the visions just come together because of the characters. Mainly it's because of the characters. They're the ones who dictate how the show will be filmed. And somehow it just came together.
I've always wondered for myself, because I never had the chance to do TV, is how then, and I guess it's a better question for shows that have a longer running time, and hopefully Crime and Justice will run even longer, is how do you deal as a new director, and probably have the same experience here, how do you deal as a director coming in when the actors and their characters are already sort of established? They sort of know more know about themselves and their characters and stories more than you do. How do you come in and lend in your voice? Do you feel decapitated as a director coming in that sense?
I'm not really a handicap per se. It's the potential of where you can go. Because you see, as much as they know the characters, they know their past and their present. But now there's still room for the future. And like the first time when I got on Crime and Justice, because their characters had already been mapped out, I just called McKenna on the side, Silas on the side, and just asked them, what are you hoping? What are your hopes for because hopes are things that haven't happened yet. And you just talk to them about their hopes and their dreams. And there you get hints of where you can take their characters. For like McKenna, one of the things I noted for her past and her present was she was quite emotional with the cases. I was like, because she'd get emotional and cry, I'm like, why is that? And we started talking about it. And I was like, okay, there's something there that I can use. And I was like, then I'm going to try for my episodes to toughen you up a little bit, little by little, because those are things I haven't seen yet. So when you come into a show that you haven't, that the characters are established, you always think of where can I take it? Where can we push these characters further? And you'll always find that stories never want to put the characters in the same place forever. There's always room, and you always find those moments and you sort of put a magnifying glass on it. Sometimes you get a chance, like for Crime and Justice, to show a big change, like a character standing up to another character. But sometimes it's in the minor things that you can really add a lot of stuff. Like how, for me, the relationship between McKenna and Cable, for me, was something that really bothered me. Because I'm like, okay, there's this way you talk to him, but what if you talk to him this a different kind of way? What does that say about you? And we talk about it, and that's one of the things. Like somehow small things, like where she sits in the office. On my episodes, where she sits in the office, I try to place it somehow different to see how that works, and you find a new dynamism. Where do they go when they have this conversation? Do they stand by the door? Do they stand by the sofa? Do they stand by the window? Do they sit and talk? Those are small things you can add to push their characters forward. before you get that major moment where she removes a gun and points it at someone. That's something major that it's dictated in the script. But those small victories. Those are the small things that you find even push the actor in a different way of performing. How they sit back, do they lean forward, do they lean back? Those are things that a lot of people don't think about. That those small things, they really tell a lot about an actor, a character. And that's up to us as directors to do.
And I think that's where I'd want to wrap this conversation up.
No worries.
And say thank you so much. And if someone wants to holler at you, say hello, find out a question, where would they find you?
I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, I am on Twitter. I am horrible at replies, but eventually I always get to them. And it's all Likarion Wainaina. I don't have special names like Slay Queen Dem Superest. No, it's just Likarion Wainaina. And yeah, looking forward to see what people think of my journey.
Mama Fua, thank you so much.
I knew that would bite me there. I knew it would somehow come back. The moment I said it, I was like, oh, what I shared too much.
Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one.